Our next question is to John. You plan to take a 33% pay cut if elected. How will the pay reduction benefit our campus?
Well, yeah, this was touched upon again in the vice presidential debate. I think that personally, if this goes through, and I hope that it does, I really think that it'll make a difference in a lot of students' lives. I think it's silly to say that we don't need more scholarships. That's completely silly because everyone could use some more scholarships. And I think that this is just a good way for me to do that personally.
Go ahead, James.
If I can just speak to talking about how would it benefit our campus. I think John's idea, the Johns have a great idea about taking that pay cut, because I think what it'll do is it'll set a precedent for this university. And I think sometimes we may not all agree with what our university administration does, and I think what we can do as our own student government is we can set the role model. We can be the role model, we can set the precedent, and I'm a firm believer in shared sacrifice. So if I'm going to take a pay cut, or anybody else of the execs are going to take a pay cut, then where can we do that within ASI? Why can't we say, look, our student government on this university is doing this. This could be reflected in our own administration or for other campuses to do that. So,
James, are you going to take a pay cut like John?
I think what I would support is when I come in, obviously George kind of spoke to it earlier, that I don't have as much ASI, the know-how of the intricacies of ASI, so what I would want to do is come in, do a self-study. Let's not hire some big firm to come in and do this study, but let's bring people to the table within ASI, students, community stakeholders, to do a self-study and analyze where we're really spending the money in ASI and what's really working. Look at the pay structures, not outside and compare it to other ASIs, but internally. What is everybody getting paid? Where's all the money really going to? And then from there we can draw our conclusions and involve the students through maybe open forums or anything else like that, where we can figure out what's going to work best.
So you wouldn't take a pay cut, to answer the question.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I would, if I were to take a pay cut, I will say this, if I were to take a pay cut, I think we have to know there's going to be a lot to the color of money, right? So if I'm going to take a pay cut, that money obviously comes from the foundation. So I would get paid from the foundation, not ASI. What I would want to do is, if I'm going to take a pay cut, let's see where we can redirect that money either to the senators. Our senators right now only get a $300 stipend, and they do a lot of work for ASI. So if I'm going to take a pay cut, which I would support in some form, that goes redirected either to other students within ASI, or we can put that back to our programs and services that we offer. So yes.
Stephen, you were vice president this year, and would you consider, as president, taking a pay cut?
You know, I think it's incredible the gesture that they put forward, and I think John touched on an important aspect that you can't make a blanket statement about what everyone's financial means are. I took a sacrifice last year. I was making more money serving, waiting tables than I was here, but this was important to me to make the difference. And I think that, yes, the 33% has generated a lot of attention, and it's an incredible gesture, but we need to focus on the issues. And the issue is funding for higher education. It's a $750 million issue.
Go ahead.
I just want to touch on what George said. I definitely believe that senators should get paid a lot more.
I'm James.
It's
the blue, I know.
It's blue. I'm sorry, they're the same team. Anyway, regardless, we're all talking about shared governance, and we're all about this in this together. I don't think execs should be paid as much. I mean, the U.S. government works in really awesome ways, and they all have checks and balances. A lot of people don't think that Senate has power, and I definitely do think that they have a lot of power. It's giving them an incentive to work.
I don't think a public servant of the school should need an incentive to work for the students.
If no one wants to respond to that, I guess we'll move to the next question.
Can I respond to that?
Go ahead.
You are sacrificing your school, and you are like reflecting the beach mentality. But when it comes down to it, you have to meet everyone's needs, and a student can't do everything voluntarily. I think what everyone's doing here is really great. But this is a full-time job. This is a full-time sacrifice, and you have to have something to hold back on.
Go ahead.
So money is the primary motivation for all that we do?
Go ahead, Steve.
I can't speak for everyone upstairs, but I can almost guarantee you no one's doing it for the money. These senators aren't putting in 15 to 20 hours a week for a $300 stipend at the end of the year. We aren't working 30 to 40 hours a week, taking trips to Sacramento, taking time to go to our legislative offices, getting beat up out there for the salary. We're doing it to make the difference.
I think that the Johns have a pretty good idea of, trying to take a pay cut and redirect this money to the students. But I think that, like Nick was saying, it does take a lot of time for the people who are in ASI to put these measures forth and represent the students. So I think that instead of taking a pay cut, we should, those who work in ASI work hard and they deserve to be paid. Instead of taking a pay cut, I think we should find other avenues to come up with funds to make scholarships, because the people who are running the government deserve to be compensated for their time, I guess.
John, I want to ask you a question. Do you think it's possible for a student to work 30 to 40 hours a week? Is that how long you guys work, Stephen, about? Whatever it is, and not get paid for that?
Well, according to the ASI website, in the description of the position, it says they work about 25. That's mandatory. So any number above that is on the student. Or
Even
whoever,
25
whoever
hours.
students. I believe that people should be compensated for their time. I completely agree with that. But I think at a certain point, you start to alienate yourself from the people you're serving when you start making that much money. Because how can I say I'm equal to anyone in this audience if I'm making that much more money than they are? It would make me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
I think you have to keep in mind that we're all students and we are all the same people, and there's no levels and there's no hierarchy. But at the end of the day, we run a company, we run a government. We have to have those kind of funds to run. And I don't see that if you could just volunteer all of your time, like all about the Go Beach mentality. But I think what you're missing is that you can't do that. You can't do something that you have so much passion for and expect it to just work out.
Stephen, do you have?
Yeah, I know that the compensation gets a lot of attention, and the salary needs to be reasonable. The salary needs to be enough that we don't need to take on another job. And that's all I think that we're advocating for up here. If we have student advocates who are dedicated 100% of their time to this, they can't have another job. And vice versa, if we have students who need to go outside and work on the nights and on the weekends and during the day, then they can't be giving 100% here. So it's about making that sacrifice so that we can have dedicated student advocates that are making the difference that we continue to do.